Oh, excuse me. Hello there, everybody. Everybody who is not listening to me, but actually does, for whatever reason, because it just so happens that my message in my last video was muted, not by my own choice or doing, but it was. And, well, I didn't have a lot of favorable things to say about where we're headed. I see things. I think that I'm a person that really has a lot of foresight. I not only have a lot of foresight, I'm also very independent. So that means that I don't just kind of like sit back and go along and watch everything happen while I just like sat there and did nothing. Um and I'm also somebody that cares. I care. I have foresight. I'm not oblivious and just live like happily ignorant about everything. Some people like that, and I don't. So, oh, and the last thing on that on my mind is I like to prevent things. I like to prevent harm from happening before it happens. I know that's redundant, right? You don't have to wait until we're all dead and you're in hell and I'm in heaven for you to wish that you were in heaven with me. So, anyhow, either way, I wanted to read. I wanted to start today with a reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 58, verses 1 through 9. Thus says the Lord God, cry out full-throated and unsparingly, lift up your voice like a trumpet blast. Tell my people their wickedness and the house of Jacob their sins. They seek me day after day and desire to know my ways, like a nation that has done what is just and not abandoned the law of their God. They ask me to declare what is due them, please to gain access to God. Why do we fast and you do not see it? Afflict ourselves and you take no note of it. Lo, on your fast day, you carry out your own pursuits and drive all your laborers. Yes, your fast ends in quarreling and fighting, striking with wicked claw. Would that today Would that today you might fast, so as to make your voice heard on high? Would that today you might fast, so as to make your voice heard on high? Is this the manner of fasting I wish, of keeping a day of penance? That a man bow his head like a reed and lie in sackcloth and ashes? Do you call this a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? This rather is the fasting that I wish, releasing those bound unjustly, untying the thongs of the yoke, setting free the oppressed, breaking every yoke, sharing your bread with the hungry, sheltering the oppressed and the homeless, clothing the naked when you see them, and not turning your back on your own. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your wound shall quickly be healed. Your vindication shall go before you, and the glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, here I am. So I like this reading. Actually, I'm not huge on the Old Testament. As a person that grew up in as a Catholic. That was basically one reading in our liturgy. I was a child. I never necessarily paid attention. I was learning English at the same time, so I was more so obviously into like academics and that kind of thing. I've always had a connection with God. I've always felt that God was really first and foremost was going to take care of me. Not necessarily. I mean, like my parents must have felt like I don't know, insulted, maybe offended sometimes, but I was like very like a snooty little girl, like, oh no, my father is in heaven. Like, no, thank you, Maria and Jose. I got this. You guys just carry on with your, domestic violence situation here. I'll just eventually grow up and have my own life. Thank you. So, just kidding. Just kidding. Although I'm not. Eventually, they kind of like learn to calm themselves. Like, whew, okay. So I mean, that's something that I wish I did a little bit more often. A lot of times I sort of like go over everything in my head and then I just end up like holding too much. I don't know if I'm holding too. Actually, I've always had like really good metabolism. It's only recently that I've felt like the weight of like the so-called really illegitimate authority in my head. They like like crackheads. And I mean, I know this is weird, but like really I'm sort of born into a position where men and their whores, not men, thugs and their whores want to dominate me and they want to control my future. And it's like I've said this before. It's not a lie. It's like a full time. That's my true full time job. I don't expect anybody to relate to me. Trust me. It's probably just it's definitely very like supernatural type of stuff. Like I can't prove it. Um, but I think we all have some sort of a degree what's it called, like ESP, right? We kind of like pick up on things. Some of us can tune out. I was really good at tuning it out, just like move on. Like I don't want to be a part of it. Obviously for me, I don't wish it on anybody. Trust me, I don't even think anybody would be able to overcome this. But there's like a lot at stake, and then I'll raise the stakes. I'll just like it's like the life their life depends on whether I be the I guess like enabler or like their scapegoat in life. That um the reason why they won't go crazy because the whole time they were thinking one thing and now it's like roar, no, you have to be this. And but it's written, and it's written that when the time of the beast is growing shorter, he gets more desperate and goes after you. And I think that eventually it is going to translate to into the physical world. Again, as I've said, is I have really good self-control. I don't really think that anybody should go through anything that I went through, so I would never. But basically what the goal was, um of trying to get into my head and trying to maneuver me and doing all these things wasn't necessarily like to see, like to test me or to see how far I would get. It was really just more to break me, to bring me to my knees. And that's not unusual for domineering trash, for the domineering that really the only hope they see in life is people that is to think, well, maybe I'm trash. Like this has got to be how they reason. Maybe I'm filthy trash that God doesn't love. But if I can find people out there that God does love, and I can suck out the life out of them, like vampires, it's like the whole like traditional story. Excuse me. Um, but it's also true for the spiritual war between demons and angels. And if you have an angel, and somebody out there is just like you know jealous of you and that kind of thing. And that's why I protect my kids so much, because I guess I was unfortunate because I have parents that are very um they lend themselves to other people's whims, and they just want to be the people pleasers. Um and y- you know uh spare their life on my back. And that's kind of, and they like to play the victim. They're like the people that in Mexico, for example, like to use other kids, like to make other people, feel sorry. We see that in propaganda now in other places of the world. And I'm thinking, man, this trash is spreading because, like in Ukraine right now, there's, oh, the kids got out. Why do you think it's going so slow? And like, I hate when I listen to like Fox News now, and it's like, oh, things aren't going the way that Russians were saying that they were going to go. Like, that doesn't lift anybody's morale. And actually, it just makes me think, well, yeah, Russia is giving you a fucking head start. I mean, a freaking, not freaking. Um, so, so, and then like in the news, like when when you see things in the news, don't necessarily always think that it's, especially if there's going to be like a serious investigation, like don't necessarily think that it has to do with some like random, like, innocent bystander, like, oh my god, came out of the blue, like in general terms. No, it could be just very specific to that person. That person may have done something wrong, and then something really bad happened to them. And that could be the case. And it sucks because when that's the case, when you are a random, like person that gets attacked, you do have to kind of pay the price of everybody else's mistakes. That is actually what it means to suffer. That's what it means to be a Christian. Is you're not a sinner, but you realize that, well, you you are made of the same stuff that could make you into a sinner. So while there's a like sinners out there that want to y- be the bad apple that ruins it for you, sometimes you just have to be that person that has to go through, like, like with when I lost my kids is the example that I'm thinking of. Well, these and I was young. I'm a young mom. I was just like completely thrown aback at the level of wickedness. And it sort of reminds me of the passage in the New Testament that on your way to court, apologize, because these people will throw you to the judges will throw you to the guards will throw you to the dogs will throw you to and et cetera, et cetera. So I did my, and you know what, I had nothing to apologize about. I definitely feel that because of the person that I had kids with, and his I guess, desire to live a very trashy life, wanted me to be a part of it, and wanted to dominate me and wanted to like suck me into it. So it wasn't really a matter of me being a good person to him and trying to work things out and being reasonable. It was a matter of teaching me the lesson. Like, well, you bad girl, you need a lesson from the crackhead. No, that's why I've been kind of maintaining my own household for the last 4 years, you piece of work. So either way, not bad. Trying a new wine. So, uh, yeah, yeah. Don't let people, try and dominate you. Don't let them try to control you. Don't let them. I'm telling you, in this case, yes, apologize on your way. Always be the bigger person. Always be the person that tries to settle out of court. I still did. I mean, I got everything out in the open that I needed to get out in the open, so as to not have it on. Hey, you know what? If these people want to help me raise my kids, they ought to know that you ought to know. Here's all the information I have on this creep. Let's do this. Let's raise these kids as a community. So, all right, we just did that, and that's fine with me. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I was definitely not going to turn into like this, like sort of, like those like those violated and belittled, um, you know, I guess like moms that go bitter, take it out on their kids and that kind of thing. No, I was done raising, like I was done with my kids. Spankings weren't necessarily common, but they only go up to a certain age. So weird. Okay. So either way, so no to some people are just gonna want that kind of a problem with you. And you're just gonna have to accept it. You're just gonna have to accept that other people want that problem with you. Yeah, the problem becomes is when they try and like really get that far in your head that they want to turn you into them. And it's like, I'm not gonna do it. I mean, it makes a person go crazy, and no wonder there's like so many crazy people out there. Like I can totally understand, and then I'm just like, I'm not even going there anymore. I guess it's my fault because at one point I used to look at them and like their moms and wives and sisters, and I used to be like, what happened to them? And then they were like, oh, what happened to them? Oh, what happened to them? Oh, and then I'm just like, all right, now I know what happened to you. Thanks. Thanks for sharing. I'm still not gonna get dominated though. Um, God is my Lord. Keep, like, please, like, write this down. I already have a Lord. You cannot be my Lord. Um, nobody can. Nobody but my Lord can be my Lord. So should have been a comedian. Oh okay, so either way, yeah. So definitely, anytime you have something to say, try and share it. As I was saying, a lot of times it just kind of circles in my head. I would normally be able to process it, except I feel like I'm processing like a big fat dumb retard brain at the same time that I really don't know where it came from. It's like, and you know what? God wouldn't put anything on my shoulders that He didn't think that I could bear, that He didn't think that I could overcome, and I will. So this is temporary. Obviously, it's like every time there's like a window of opportunity, like, oh, are you sure you don't want to take Biden's side, Monique? Because look at this. We're winning. Look, like, actually, no, you're not. You're not winning. You're winning a bigger title for best, biggest idiot. That's all you're doing. Um, so it really is just more like a sort of like a wager, on your morals and on if you're ready to give in. And this is the exact same thing that's going to happen to everybody during their, I don't know if it's like my own personal tribulation and if everybody else, I guess it might depend on how close you want to even get to heaven, how close you want to be to God, and leave like the pettiness of this so-called government. They're not really a government if they're not interested in you. They're not a government if they let people in the streets govern like they did last year, and or not last year but 2 years ago. They're not a government. They're like playing housey, like kids that have no idea what they're doing. Literally, I tell you, I mean, do you think I'm their favorite person? Do you think they're not gonna like, sit their big fat asses on me, like, and call it the weight of the government of the United States? No, you're just like a big fat stupid ass that needs to fucking process your own information and come up with your own ideas. But they don't have it in them, they just like they got by being people pleasing, um, cronies being collusive. They collude. They're all in on their little secrets. They're all just as dirty as the next. I mean, and they speak about decency. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, really, don't how dare they? How dare they dilute the meaning of decency? It's just we deserve to die. I'm sorry, we do. We deserve to just not even like perish, like, or be able to be people that can actually hold these people accountable. Like, don't talk about decency. Don't talk about your all the hours you put in and accomplish nothing. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. What have you done? You haven't done anything. Nothing. Zero. You went from you were never a hero and you still ended up at zero. So anyhow, oh man. Um Yeah, so I really do just feel any window of opportunity is going to be like another chance. Like, come on, get in the on the bandwagon. Get on their little circus train. Get on their little gravy rail. Like instead of the holy rail, they're like, oh, gravy rail, choo choo choo. They're so nasty. I can't stand. I can't stand them for sure. All right. I do love my kids. I have a responsibility to them. My grandmas were the best educators in morals that I've ever had, and I'm gonna be true to them. And I don't care what anybody in this world is telling. It's I don't rely on people's experiences and morals, but for a few, um, growing up in an urban area, is you get a little bit of everything. It's very diverse how I grew up, and believe me, I'm still the small town girl with small town values that has just explored and experimented, and I think at times that my age might explain more so than my innate desire to explore, just to say I have experience. I can say that this is what I like, this is what I don't like, here's why. I've already been there, done that. Goodbye. All right, um windows of opportunities. I always feel kind of suspicious of people that want to create that sort of um ultimatum for people, and how they uh, form their morals, and whether they're willing to budge and how far they're willing to budge, and that kind of thing. And I don't budge. I don't budge for crap. um I've learned to live. Actually, I've learned to live with very little means, and um that's me. Obviously, is that's not necessarily communism. People that have more now are still going to have more on a relative level, no matter what. So that's not necessarily the meaning of that. What it means is, um, I'm a self-made person. I want to pick myself up and make myself who I turn out to be. Whether all it is keeping my kids out of trouble on the straight and narrow. I mean, that's going to go a longer way than I think anything else I can possibly do in this world. I'm not going to sell my soul and then watch my kids just throw it to waste because they look at me and they think, oh well, what's the point? There's no meaning. At least my kids, with all their I guess, um I don't know, it fights, I guess, like family fights, they can at least learn and grow from that, versus I don't know, like what other parents and stuff like that have done. People. I'm not people's favorite person because I am the type of person that's very selective and um I've always been like really accepting and open, but that's not enough for some people, as I was saying, is they want to see you drag down beneath them, and you have to kind of hold your own and hold your ground and say and understand that these people are just trash, like they're trash, and they don't want you to be better than them, and you are. You might very well just be better than these people that don't. And that's all it's going to come down to. Again, there's only two kinds of people in this world. There's good people and there's bad people. There's fewer good people, but those people are going to make it. Those are the ones that are going to persevere, and those are the ones that are going to make it to the next life. It's not like it's a game. It's a game to Satan, that's for sure. He is playing games with people, and then his people are playing games with you, and their goal is to project who they are onto you so that you can become a part of the big scheme, the big game, the big counterfeit. It's a counterfeit. And eventually you're all those people are in a trap, and they're like, I imagine them, like those like dog face, people with, or not people, but like those dog faces, and like the Egyptian, uh, what's it called, not monoliths, but something, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so and like one like ruler like just watching all his dogs, like taking so I don't, that's how I picture you're all gonna lose anyway, whatever game you think you're playing. The only reason it's interesting is because there's still people that are trying to keep away from you, and the only reason that God is gonna come and take us from here is because he's gonna get fucking really sick and tired of your fucking games. All right, well, good night. See you guys all soon.